Answer your questions here live on the show with our experts. Tom is here, Sarah is here, Ryan is here, going through all those questions right now.
You know, it doesn't surprise me that people are still talking about winter.
It is February. Yes.
Are you being a smart aleck? Are you putting on your sassy pants tonight?
I'm going to start a fake Twitter account and start sending in summer tweets.
Can we go back to the Hawaii surf contest
Let's do that.
again?
Yeah,
We'd all like to do that.
No, the first question is coming to us from Scott.
All right, Scott, thanks for your question tonight. How does radar differentiate between snow, sleet, and freezing rain? Excellent question, Scott. Thank you.
Used to be difficult to do that until we got dual pole radar. It actually sends out a beam in two planes, both a horizontal and a vertical plane. Part of what that does is it allows us to look at the shape of the hydrometeor in the sky. And raindrops typically are more oblate. They're a little flatter. Snowflakes can be a little bit rounder. And so dual pole radar is typically how we do that.
So the radio frequency it sends back is different, and we can color code, and if you look at it on a radar, it's color coded.
Correct.
Where basically the raindrop is green, frozen precipitation is generally some sort of blue color.
Right, right, and
So,
and it looks at the amount of energy that gets sent back to the radar. So less energy, smaller particle, maybe snow, something like that. So
Good question.
All right, next question, Brian.
Brian, thank you for your question tonight. And Brian asks this: what are the ingredients to make it snow in rural Deep South in Georgia? Deep South, Georgia.
Come on, you're a native. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, we really have to have kind of what we had so far this season, these southern track low pressure systems that develop, because there you're going to get the lift, you're going to get the cold air pulled all the way down into the southeast, moisture wraps around that and then falls through that cold air. So, if you don't get those low pressure systems, that cold air usually stays to the north.
But we haven't had the cold air, though. We haven't really had these really sharp blasts of cold air, have we?
Not yet, but
we'll get there.
Cold enough. Maybe in the next couple of days we will. Thank you all for your questions this evening. And time's winding down to cast your vote for our best video of the day. We reveal our #1. One thing we love about Weather Underground is we get to interact with you live on the show. You send in your weather questions. Our team answers your questions live here on the show. Ryan has the task of going through all those questions. I don't know how you choose, because there are a lot of really great questions, but we eventually have to narrow it down.
I do. You have to pick out some of the ones that are formulated well and that can actually sometimes lead into the discussions we're talking about.
So Ryan is saying, send good questions.
Send good questions.
They all are.
And you like a well-written, you like a real sentence.
Concise, easy to understand.
He's giving you tips now on how to get on the show.
Yep.
All right. First up this evening, Ryan.
Angela.
All right, Angela, thank you. It seems when this cold air comes down, it's to the east more often than to the west. My imagination?
Well, certainly in this pattern it is.
Yeah.
That doesn't always happen. Don't forget last winter, the West, and I mean out in the West, right? They were exceptionally warm again, and the East was cold. But we've had winters where the West has been cold. It all has to do with the upper air patterns.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, Angela, for that question.
Next question coming to us from Ruth.
Ruth, thank you. Asking, when will that West Coast heat come
Now
to the east?
She's got a bet going with her husband.
Okay, what's the bet?
The bet is who's going to how long it's going to take. So answer the question.
Oh, okay.
And then,
Well, they've already made the bet.
Don't tell us what the bet is yet.
Within the next 7 days.
It's not going to be till what, maybe?
Looks like the ridge starts
Maybe
to break
about a
down
week.
after the weekend.
Week
yeah.
plus.
Like we get this big system comes through, and then that ridge starts to break down a little bit, and we get a trough in the west a little bit. Now, how far south it goes, I'm not sure, but it should maybe bring it into the record heat, I would imagine, but after breaking down that ridge.
Thinking about maybe the 16th, 17th, somewhere in there.
Yeah, and
Tuesday,
then when we look at our
Wednesday?
weekly forecast beyond that, the East is well above normal for their temperature.
What was the bet?
Ruth said 20, her husband said 30 days.
Oh, well, she's going to win on
It's
that
close
one,
with that
right?
one over.
One
Yeah.
is
All right,
good.
we're
Next
talking-
question
We're talking like
Price is Right
8
rules.
days, maybe.
Ruth, that's it.
All right, next question tonight.
Frank.
And thank you, Frank. What kind of precipitation for York, Pennsylvania on Monday and Tuesday? And can we expect a wicked snow squall tomorrow afternoon or evening?
There's a lot there.
York, PA. Where exactly is York, PA?
That's south.
It's
southeast.
Harrisburg.
Near,
Yeah, outside of Harrisburg.
outside of Harrisburg.
Yeah. So first of all, the snow squall. A little bit of lake effect snow, and those streamers can come down across I-80 into southeast PA. So not out of the question for tomorrow for that. Now, we talk about the snow as we go into next week for them. Again, you're right on the dividing line there. I'd probably leaning more toward rain for York, PA, though.
All right, thank you all for your questions this evening. If if you are new to the show, we do this every single night. So find us on Twitter using the hashtag WUTV, and we'll answer your questions. Let's get a final check your forecast now with meteorologist Keith Carson.
All right, guys, let's take a look at what's going on across the country. Of course, most of our action in the Great Lakes right now, and some snow there and through the Midwest as well. Just looking at some light to moderate snow just to the south of Des Moines. Meanwhile, not much going on. Kansas City, maybe a few snow flurries there as well. Of course, out west, we talked about that. Some record heat in the southwest, some rain and some elevation snow in the northwest. So going forward in time, the big story, I think, for a lot of people is just going to be the temperature divide here between very cold air through tomorrow and into the weekend across the east, much warmer stuff in the west. Of course, lake effect going to be a big factor. The lake's still open, very, very cold air, coldest of the season Saturday and into Sunday, moving in across parts of the northeast. I have a friend, by the way, who lives in Burlington, Vermont. His parents are coming up this weekend to go skiing, and they're still going. Wind chills, minus 35-ish. I used to do that in upstate New York, and you have to ski like this. Got to keep your shoulders close. You know, you've been there, right, Tom? Just one of these.
I have a feeling they might be at the lodge. Quite a bit. A little what we learned on the show tonight. I'll kick it off. I learned, largely due to temperature inversion, Salt Lake City last year had worse air quality through the year than New York or Cleveland or Detroit or Chicago. Had no idea their air quality was that poor.
That's shocking. I'm going to go with some of the specifications for the wind chill formula. We figured out that you'd have to be walking forward into the wind at 3 miles an hour, and your face has to be 5 feet tall. It doesn't have to be a good-looking face, but it has to be 5 feet tall.
After a wind chill, it's usually not a good-looking face.
I was going to say the same thing you did, which, you know, it's interesting that Salt Lake City has worse air quality than the New York metro area, but it's not necessarily due to industry, it's just inversion.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Yeah, I lived in Phoenix, and there was some terrible pollution there for the same reason. You know, one thing I learned, I think I learned today, was you were interviewing a woman who was talking about interferometers and satellites moving to detect drought and moisture in the ground and stuff. I read that article in Physics Today, earlier today. And I was doing something else, and I overheard your conversation with her, and I'm assuming that was the same topic. Am I right?
Well, she was actually talking about the gravitational pulse that was sent out from the atmosphere. They think, what, maybe a million or billion years ago, something like that. They actually detected that, and it made a sound. It goes, whoop. And that chirp was actually, they believe these two black holes actually, they spin around each other, and then they just collapse into each other and combine to form one.
Yeah.
So
very interesting. And so was the article I read. Physics Today.
That one was out of this world.
Nice.
Our PWS gentleman there from just north of Syracuse in Solvay, New York, indicating he gets 120 inches of snow a year. I love that fact, and that makes me want to go back up there.
Tom's about to park it there. Well, thank you all for being part of the show this evening, and good stuff.